Well, welcome back, Brian, from Lake Gedney.
Thank you, Mike.
So, when did you leave, and what was the trip over like?
We left on the Saturday morning. We normally leave on the Friday, but this time we went Saturday morning, and we had trouble with the cars on the way. One of the cars on the way over, it kept boiling, and it delayed the trip noticeably. We didn't get there till Sunday afternoon. And it didn't give us any time to get the bike scrutineered. So that happened the next morning. We had a bit of trouble through scrutineering. I hadn't read the rule book properly, which I should have known.
Had the rules changed at all, or was it?
They have adopted the American rule book, and I didn't read about the clean-up kit, which I was supposed to have kitty litter and a shovel and a brush in case it blows the motor. Well, I've always got through without it. I had rags and a big bucket, and that's all I thought I needed, but I hadn't read the new rule book properly. So it took a couple of hours to get through scrutineering, borrowing things, and we got through, but it went through till about lunchtime, and then you have to volunteer to do work for half a day when you go to the salt as a competitor, and I got stuck with being out on the middle of the salt in the timing box for 5 hours in 40+ degree heat,
Wow.
which was not very pleasant.
No. So, when did you actually get to make your first run?
That was on the Tuesday morning, and we had to line up, and there was a big queue, so we waited about 2.5 or 3 hours to get one run in. I was expecting to go out and absolutely blitz the record by 10 mile an hour to 20 mile an hour more, and instead of running over 121 mile an hour, it ran 86 mile an hour.
So, what class were you actually running in for your first run?
I was running in, as you see the bike here, the unfaired class, which is MF 500, and I've currently got the record at 121 mile an hour, but the bike would not pull in fourth gear whatsoever. It was a beast in second gear, started to flatten out in third gear, and then just would not accelerate or go anywhere in fourth gear.
So, what did you think was the problem at the time, and what did you actually try to alleviate?
Well, I believe I know what the problem is now.
But at the time?
At the time, I thought it was too lean. I found when I rolled off the throttle, the bike picked up slightly, and I thought it was getting too much air, so I richened it again, and then lined up for another 2 to 3 hours to get a second run in on the Tuesday, and it just didn't go at all. It just was terrible. And I didn't know why. I really cursed that we didn't try fourth gear on the dyno or take it somewhere and run it first.
Did you try anything else, or was it just really just playing with the mixture?
I thought it was the mixture. We did try the timing. We tried advancing the timing, made no difference. We've got very retarded timing, as in 20 degrees is the advance of it. So that's very low for a motorcycle, especially on methanol.
So, how many runs did you make in total over there?
Well, I only got 2 in on the Tuesday, and then I probably did 6 on the Wednesday, but we went to the GPS track where they put a GPS inside your levers, and then there was no one virtually waiting there, so we could just basically do run after run.
Was that a practice track, or was it?
It is a practice track. No records are recognised on that track, so it's just to sort your bike out, which was ideal. And as it turned out, I should have gone there on the Tuesday, but I expected to go much better than it did. And we checked fuel pressure, and we kept changing the carburettor, and we couldn't make it any sense out of it all. In hindsight now, which is a wonderful thing, as they say, going from the dyno, I richened the carburettor 1 full turn on the fuel screw. Now, I didn't know how effective that screw was, because when it was on the dyno, Mick was adjusting it, and I didn't realise such fine increments made a big difference, and I undid it 1 full turn, which I've since found out half a turn is equivalent to about 10 jet sizes, so it went 20 sizes bigger, and that's what killed the motor.
Wow.
It was just drowning with fuel. I just assumed because I rolled the throttle off and it went faster that it was just getting too much air, but I kept going in the wrong direction. We even tried it leaner, but it just
wasn't lean enough, I guess.
No, it was nowhere lean enough. So,
and I guess it's difficult to read the plug.
It is on methanol because it comes up, it doesn't show a lot of colour. The longer the plugs are in there, the more colour it will show, but they're brand new plugs.
So now that you're back in Melbourne, and I assume you're planning a trip back out there next year, what have you got planned between now and then to sort of resolve these problems?
Well, I don't believe I have to do anything at all to the motor, just in the tuning of it. And I think the first step would be to go back on the dyno and get it back in the ballpark, because we've been playing with that mixture screw. And then we'll take it somewhere and actually run it. Even on the dyno, we'll try it in 4th and 5th gears, I think, this time, to make sure it will pull under a load, and then take it. I don't know where we're going to take it yet.
What sort of distance would you need, do you think, to just test it?
A minimum of about 3 kilometres, because I've got to get into 4th gear, wide open throttle, and I need a lot of area to slow down because it only has a drum brake rear, no front brake at all. So it takes a bit to slow the bike down. It's got a lot of compression, so when you sit up it does slow down, but the drum brake isn't very effective.
What were the crowds like this year? Were they any bigger than last year?
Well, the entry list I found out was smaller. I thought it was bigger, but I was looking at last year's list, so it actually was a smaller entry list, but I think there was more people there than last year.
So they would have been spectators or support?
A lot of spectators, and they had some people out from America with cars as well, which ran very fast.
Any problems with the weather, apart from it being too hot?
Well, it was hot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then late Wednesday afternoon it had a downpour for about 15 minutes in the 40+ degree heat, so the humidity went through the roof. It was very unpleasant. We were leaving on the Thursday morning anyway, so we packed up everything after it dried out, and then that was the end of racing for the day as well, because it was just puddles everywhere and they couldn't use the course. And then I think on the Thursday and Friday they had limited runs because of the condition of the track.
I think that about covers it, Brian. I suppose finally I can just say good luck for next year.
Well, hopefully next year I don't outsmart myself, and I hope to have it going very fast.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Mike.